Hello, I'm Oonagh Williams of Royal Temptations, back yet again to show you some more of my favourite recipes made from scratch with real ingredients, preferably not much time in the kitchen, and even better, not much time washing up. My favourite things to say. And with apple season coming up, I'm going to do a main course and a dessert that are based on apples, and where we're also meant to be eating more fish, and salmon is wonderful, we're going to do an entree with salmon. So what I've got in this pan here, I've lined the pan with foil to make life simpler, because where we're going to have a maple glaze on top of it, the maple can burn and make a mess of your pan, so you're spending longer washing up, and we all know I don't like to spend hours washing up, and I know you crowd don't either. So I've lined it with foil. These are boneless, skinless salmon fillets. I buy them vacuum packed at Costco, and quite honestly they're a 6 to 8 ounce fillet, and my husband and I find one between the two of us for an ordinary dinner is more than enough. Dinner party, yes, you're normally going to go for a complete fillet because it looks so much better on the plate, but in terms of quantity I find it too much for us by the time we have vegetables and the rest with it. But even so, as I say, this is boneless, skinless, and I'm just going to put some fresh black pepper on top of it. And there's nothing to beat the fresh stuff. And then a little bit of salt, just a little bit. And then to go with this, as I said, it's apple season. So what I have in here, and you can't see very easily because it's a black lined black pan. And this is a great little bean pot I bought at one of the discount stores, and it's very heavy, but I'm delighted with it. In here I've got some butter, water, cinnamon, and a Granny Smith apple that I've peeled and chopped very finely. Now my mother would just quarter her apples, core them, and then just cut up the whole apple, grate it with the peel as well, so you've got more fibre and flavour from that. But as I say, I've got butter, water, maple syrup, the apple, and some cinnamon. I've cooked it till the apples are softening. Now Granny Smith apples won't go to an apple sauce, they still stay firm, so you can see the look of them here. And then the magic ingredient, I add bourbon. Now for those of you that have seen my previous shows, you might remember this recipe. I used something virtually identical to this that I put on top of my baked brie in the oven as an appetizer. And this maple syrup and bourbon is what I also do to go with my French apple tart, because we're New England, maple syrup's everywhere. And by the way, I always buy the grade B, the medium dark amber. Grade A is great for pancakes and it's milder, that the kids will eat it. But when it comes to cooking, don't spend the money on the expensive one. Buy the grade B medium, because you get far more flavour that way. And whatever you do with your maple syrup, keep it in the freezer. It goes mouldy, as I discovered when I opened it one time and I smelt the mould. Why it goes mouldy when honey will last thousands of years, I don't know, but it will go mouldy. So I leave my half gallon of maple syrup in the freezer. It pours a bit slower from the freezer, and you wipe up the outside so it doesn't drip, but keep it in the freezer. So I've got that mixture here, and I added a little bit of balsamic vinegar just to cut the sweetness if it's too much, and balsamic adds a wonderful flavour. If you don't want to add the balsamic, you can put a little bit of lemon in. So all I've done, as I say, the apples are cooked with cinnamon, butter, maple syrup and bourbon, and I'm just going to put them on top of this salmon and just roughly spread it out. And it's going to go into a 450 oven for about 10 minutes. You could put it on the grill and just cook the salmon on its own and then just heat the sauce and serve it with it. I find if you put the glaze on top, this sauce on top, and try and broil it as well, then it burns like mad, which you don't want. And what I'm also going to do, I have some chopped nuts here that I'm going to put with it because I like the extra bit of the crunch. You don't have to do it, it's just me. I like crunch, I like a change in textures. When we had to make menus up at college, we had to make sure we had a difference in colour, in taste, in texture, everything. You couldn't have all soft, all white. You had to have such a variety, and you had to write the entire menu in French or the entire menu in English. You couldn't go back and forth between the two. So this is just the salmon with the apple and the sauce. I'm going to put it in the 450 oven for about 10 minutes, and these are about 1 inch thick. Now I'll just set the timer, because I don't know about you, I'm really bad about remembering things unless the timer clicks at me. Now a couple of things. That was a non-stick pan, but still line it with foil, and if you noticed, it had a metal handle. Don't try, a lot of us have got the non-stick pans with the black composite handles. Don't put those pans in a 450 oven. They say they shouldn't go above a 350 oven, so I don't want you to have a melted mass of black plastic that will be very, very smelly and perhaps even toxic in the house if it melts. So don't do that. And as I say, line it with foil so you don't burn the pan. And that's an inch thick. That was easily an inch thick. So you're talking about 10 minutes. If you've got far thinner fillets, it's going to cook far quicker. A fatter fillet is going to cook, take longer to cook. On the grill, it works on 10 to 12 minutes per inch on the grill. But you have to look at that salmon and decide yourself. It should still look slightly wet in the center when it comes out. It doesn't want to be pale, dry pink throughout, otherwise it will be very dry. You want to still see some juice. Okay, so we'll wait for the few minutes for it to come out the oven. Welcome back. So the salmon's out the oven, and you can imagine 10 minutes goes in no time at all. It gives you time just to clean up the kitchen and set the table. So I've got the salmon here. Let me get a fork out. I've already plated one up for you, but I wanted to taste a piece. And apart from saying no sacrifice is too great, I enjoy this anyway. Oh. I love that sweetness of the apples and the maple. Then you get that slight tang of the balsamic, and I really can taste the bourbon. Don't be put off by the bourbon in it. It just has a lovely bit of flavour. You can leave it out. You could use rum or brandy or anything you liked. And you don't need to have the huge bottles of bourbon, etc. like me, buy the miniatures at the liquor store for only a few dollars. But this is so good. And with the apple sauce mixture, or it's not sauce, but the apple mixture on top, I think the kids would quite happily eat it. And you don't have to do it on salmon. Do it on swordfish or tuna or cod, haddock, anything you like. And you can see how it's been presented. You've got plain boiled potatoes just with butter and parsley on, and asparagus the same way. To me, where you've got such a wonderful flavour with the salmon, I don't see the point of all these fancy vegetables to go with it. Too many flavours contrasting spoils the individual flavour of anything. And quite honestly, it sounds really boring, but plain boiled potatoes, a really nice potato, just perfectly cooked with butter and parsley, there's almost nothing better than that. And it accents so many foods so wonderfully. So I think you're going to enjoy that. Obviously, the kids probably aren't going to eat asparagus, we know that. But go ahead, try it, and I think you'll enjoy it. Take care.